Hello, everybody. Lovely to see you this Friday afternoon UK time. My name is Carl, and here on behalf of the TEFL Org, I'm going to talk for a bit about CVs and resumes and how they work within the TEFL industry, what you should include, what you shouldn't include, these kind of things. So thank you very much for joining me this Friday afternoon UK time. I'm currently in Belfast, Northern Ireland, where I work as an online TEFL teacher. I work as an examiner in the TEFL industry, so I cover the speaking and writing exams for a couple of different companies. I also work as a teacher trainer for the TEFL Org. So if you're doing any of the practical courses here in Ireland, you've got a good chance of seeing me. So just please say hello in the chat. Let me know where you are in the world. Alan, hello from sunny Southern California. Oh, I'd love to be in sunny Southern California. Jing Hang in China. Hello, Linda. Vanessa as well. Some questions coming in. So this is great. So I'm going to, if you do have any questions about TEFL CVs, and I can see some already coming in, which I'm going to actually answer in the presentation I'm going to give in a second. If you've got any questions about TEFL CVs, please put them in the chat. And if you have any other questions about getting into teaching English as a foreign language, then please do put that in as well. And I'll get round to those with help from Alan, who is monitoring the chat. And so any links, that kind of thing, Alan might pop in. Hello, Maria. Hi, Ellen. Hi, Sharonti. Hi, Ali. Hi, Kevin. Hi, everybody that's saying hello. It's lovely to hear from you. Just before I start, I should tell you a little bit I know about TEFL CVs. I've worked as a centre manager for a chain of language schools, and I've also worked for an independent language school as well in the UK. That one was. I've also worked abroad as a senior teacher, where I had to help with recruiting of teachers, this kind of thing. So I've seen a lot of TEFL CVs. I've also done I've been on both sides of TEFL interviews, so I know what questions are asked, what kind of answers you should give as well. And hello to all those hellos. Someone in Barbados. That wins. If you're looking to teach abroad, if you live in Barbados, wow, I think I'd be quite happy to just sit in Barbados myself. Who was that in Barbados? Baby T272. Didn't want to tell us. Didn't want to tell us your full name in case we come round. Hey, gotcha. Okay, so let's get started on this presentation. Now, the first thing I want to sort of say is that resume, CV, I know, are technically different things. So it tends to be with sort of the amount of information you put in. However, I have found from looking around that the words CV and resume are quite intertwined generally within job applications within TEFL. So you will see adverts where they ask for your CV. You will also see adverts where they ask for your resume. Okay, so the kind of things I'm going to talk about are interchangeable, but one of the things that I'm going to first sort of talk about when I talk about CV basics, I'm just typing CV generally to sort of save a bit of space throughout my presentation. And I'm going to get to a little bit about what you should include in a bit, okay? But first, let me talk about CV basics, okay? So the first thing that drives me crazy as a TEFL, and it's making me mad right now, as a TEFL recruiter, is when I see grammar and spelling mistakes in CVs. This drives me absolutely mad, and you would be surprised how many you get within CVs. And so please, one of the first basic things I want to say to you about CVs is do not have grammar and spelling mistakes in it. If your computer is in English, use the spell check. If your computer is not in English because your first language not is in English, put your computer in English to check the grammar and spelling mistakes. Don't make Carl angry, okay? Next thing is 2 pages maximum for a CV or resume, I think. Now, you could go into lots of detail, and that might sort of go into 5 or 6 pages, but I'll tell you, most of the time a recruiter won't read more than the first 2 pages. They don't have time to do that, okay? Also, very often you get an application form that you also have to fill in. Or after you filled in your CV, after you sent in your CV, they then send you an application form to fill in. That goes into the more detail of the things they want. 2 slides is the perfect sort of order. Sorry, 2 slides. 2 pages is the maximum sort of order for length for a CV. Anything more than that, you're really going into too much, I think, detail. Okay. I've been teaching since 2005. Roughly, that's when I qualified. I did a bit of teaching before that. I'm talking sort of post-qualification, and I can fit all of my details onto 2 pages, including all my qualifications, postgraduate qualifications, undergrad qualifications, all that kind of thing. I really don't think you need to go into more than 2 pages. Okay, so 2-page maximum. Learn to use the headings on Microsoft Word. Okay, the Microsoft Word can really help you to make your CV look nice. Okay, so don't have it all mixed together. Don't have all the fonts the same size, all that kind of thing. Use the headings, use some colors, make it stand out a little bit. Learn to use the headings on Microsoft Word. Now, this is important, especially if you're going to do online, because it shows that you know a technical skill. I have quite often seen CVs where there's lots of like it's written like an essay in paragraphs, and that again drives you mad. So learn to use the headings on Microsoft Word, and link to that, check the formatting of your Word document when it is printed. Now, it's okay to just sort of type it, but sometimes when you print something, it looks different. So there's ways around that. You can do it in a PDF, save it as a PDF. That will help it to be printed better, because quite often people like to print their CVs. I've worked with people who also do recruitment who like to print off all the CVs. I don't personally, but I know plenty of people that do like to print them off to read them through so they can write on them, that kind of thing. All right. So check that. The other thing to be aware of is I've worked in many places around the world where they use a version of Microsoft Office that isn't the most up-to-date one, or is a few versions old, might be 5 years old, 6 years old, their Microsoft Word, and they haven't updated it, anything like that. I've also worked in many places around the world where they haven't used official, licensed, bought copies of Microsoft products. They like to use ones that they found on the internet. So again, that can sort of change how things look on the page. So keep that in mind, check the formatting, spend some time, maybe save it as a PDF so it looks okay when it's printed. Okay. Give a good file name. This drives me mad. I'm getting mad about this already. When I've put up adverts, and then I get 200 emails from people around the world, and maybe half of them will just have the file name cv.doc, cv.pdf. So then I'm downloading them, and I've got 100 file names with just CV written on them. And I'm like, oh my word, I've got to rename them. I've got to go into it. I've got to close it. I've got to then remember who it is. Won't let me rename the file while it's open. So I've got to close it. Do it like this. Rename it again. Give it a good file name. Really looks professional. So something like Carl Cameron Day CV. Something like that. Make it sound professional. Okay. Don't just write CV or Word 1 or doc1.doc. Something like that drives me mad. Give it a good file name, okay? Final thought in the basics before I go into more detail, and I can see those questions coming in, guys. I will get round to the questions, I promise you, okay? But I might also answer these questions for you in this presentation. But give the employer what they want. Now, that might sound simple, but if they've put on the advert, include a photo, include a photo. If they've put an advert, include letters of recommendation, put in some letters of recommendation, okay? Give them what they want. It drives a recruiter mad if they get lots of applications in and nobody has sort of said what you want to know about, okay? So if it says give details of teaching experience, give your details of teaching experience, okay? If it says list qualifications, list your qualifications. I know this might sound simple and basic, but honestly, the amount of people I get who send me CVs that don't do the things that I want them to do. Okay, good. I hope that, did I get a little bit angry then? I think I did. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, but I was just trying to remember those times when I've had to sit through lots of applications and it's driven me a bit mad. Okay. Okay, good. Right, let's talk a little bit about the TEFL application process. Okay, because I think CVs are an important part of that. Right now, the application process when you apply for a TEFL job varies by country and by company. Okay, so if you're working for a chain of language schools such as International House, the British Council, EF, something like that, they throughout the world generally have a similar system of recruitment. Okay, but a lot of jobs are independent schools, face-to-face schools, or independent or singularly owned. There's only one sort of big school if it's online and you send it all to that company. Okay, now that would be in a specific country usually. So it'd be like a Chinese company that does online teaching, or it would be a Saudi Arabian company that does online teaching. How the countries want to work is important, because what they would expect you to sort of send a CV that looks a bit like a Chinese CV, to have the information that a Chinese CV has. Okay. And a company as well would have specific things they want. So it's worth thinking about that when you're making your CV or when you're adapting your CV to a job. Okay, all right. But a TEFL application usually starts with sending in a CV. Now, I have worked at companies where they don't actually want a CV. They just want an application form. And actually, if you say on the advert, please don't send in your CV, just send in an application form, you'd be surprised how many people send in a CV. Okay, so just be reading it, but generally, usually you have to send in a CV. All right, so Google what a typical Chinese CV, a Spanish CV, a Saudi Arabian CV looks like and adapt your CV. Okay, don't think, okay, this is what I was taught in my careers office at 16 years old, 17 years old, or at university, what a CV needs to look like. Okay, spend a bit of time looking at how a Chinese CV, because if a Chinese CV contains photos, unfortunately, they're going to want you to put a photo in. Okay, British companies don't tend to want photos within the CVs. Okay, so just be aware that you've got to adapt. One of the big things about teaching abroad or teaching for a company abroad whilst you're in the UK, Australia, America, whatever it might be, is being able to culturally adapt. Okay, so make sure that you can show that in your CV. And be aware that you might have spent all this time doing your CV and then they make you send in an application form. Very, very normal to do that. And you might think, oh, it's all on the CV. But actually, they want you to send in an application form. Normal behavior. Got to do it, I'm afraid. Okay. Thank you. So, first thing that you might need to add, and a lot of people have asked myself and Alan these questions when we have been doing it. One of the things you might need to add is personal information. Okay, it's normal in many countries to ask personal questions, and there is a normality to it to ask for about these things within a CV. Okay, so you might think, what? We don't include that in a CV, but you need to sort of think about it. Okay, so things like marriage status. TEFL companies ask marriage status. Why do they ask marriage status? Now, it does sort of depend on sort of how you might feel about this as a recruiter. Okay, so one of the reasons why they ask this is because if you're married and you bring your wife and maybe your kids with you, okay, what are they gonna, if you're going abroad, what are they gonna do whilst you're teaching? Okay, does this mean that you're maybe not going to have enough money to pay for the international schools? That kind of thing. Does it mean that, you know, your wife, you might get a little bit bored because she doesn't have a job, because it's difficult to get a job in that country? These are the sort of things that a TEFL recruiter needs to take into consideration. Okay. Online, it's a bit different. That doesn't really matter so much. But if you're moving to another company, another country, that's important. Okay. Age. They will ask your age. They will ask for your date of birth. Why do they want to know this? One of the reasons is because of the visa restrictions. Some countries have visa restrictions, not made by the TEFL companies, but made by the governments to stop people over a certain age working, or even under a youngest age, okay? So that's important. They're also quite often, companies don't want to take on people that are under the age of 18. Why? Because it could be a bit difficult for that person if they're abroad, and if they're a teenager to find work to settle down, that kind of thing. Okay. So age is a normal thing for them to ask. So put it on your CV. I've got my date of birth already on that one. Okay. Okay. They will ask for your first language. Why? Because obviously there's the thing about native speakers. Some companies want native speakers. Wrongly, in my mind, I feel like the whole getting teachers that are only native speakers in is the wrong way for a company to go. But unfortunately, there is a sort of false knowledge where they think that companies think that native speakers make better teachers than non-native speakers. Unfortunately. Okay, so first language, they will ask that. Okay, now if you're a non-native speaker here, write your English language ability. Write it at the top in the section for personal information. Okay, so you might put first language Polish, bilingual in English with IELTS 9.9. Sorry, you can't get 9.9. 9.0. Bilingual in English with Cambridge Advanced Certificate, pass, merit, whatever it might be. Okay, show that you have a good English ability in that first section about personal information. Okay, really important. That will help them to think, okay, oh no, it's a Polish applicant and we sort of said only native speakers. Oh, wait there though, they've got an advanced level 9 IELTS certificate. They're pretty good. Okay, so just keep that in your mind. All right. They will ask for citizenship. Why will they ask for citizenship? Because maybe that government has sort of said that there's only certain countries that can apply for a work visa for that country. There's no point the recruiting company spending ages on looking at someone's CV if it doesn't fit the rules that the government of their country has said. Okay, so citizenship is important. All right. And I think most TEFL countries want a photo. Okay. Now, they might in the advert ask for the photo to be set separately, or they might want it copied and pasted into the CV itself. Okay. Now, why do they want that? One of the things that they want is for to see if you can look professional. Can you work in a shirt and tie? That kind of thing. And unfortunately, there are still some things about men, for example, having long hair. There might be some problems in some countries with people having facial piercings, that kind of thing. And they want to make sure that you might not have that. So be professional in your photo, do some sort of thing where you turn to the side and then you look like that. Does that look good? I don't know. Alan, did I look good then? Like this. Okay. Don't have like your friend's arms in it, sort of giving you a hug, that kind of thing. I've seen that. I've had photos where people are drinking a nice beer, something like that. Don't do anything like that. Do a nice, calm, like all this stuff behind me wouldn't necessarily have that. I'd have like a plain one, that kind of thing. Not necessarily a passport photo where you're looking bored like that. Show your personality, smile a bit, show that you're nice, show that you're friendly, that kind of thing. Companies do want that, and unfortunately, yeah, you got to put it in. Okay. I'm getting to the questions. I've got loads to say about this. Then maybe after you put your personal information, maybe start with a profile. Okay, so that would sort of be the second section. So give a summary of yourself. Try and be a bit human in this little bit. So say something like an enthusiastic TEFL graduate looking to help students improve their English ability. Something like that, you know, be a bit nice, throw in a couple of positive adjectives, that kind of thing, to make yourself look nice. Okay. Highlight the skills that you have in a little 3 or 4 sentence profile, highlighting the skills related to teaching. So you might say something like a shop assistant. If you don't have any teaching experience, something like a shop assistant with 3 or 4 years experience talking to customers, because communicating is important. If you've been teaching, say a newly qualified teacher with 6 months experience teaching refugees, so sort of something like gives you a little summary of the skills that you have, that you've taught. Okay. All right, so just do something like that. If you think of any sort of customer facing role that you have had, either as a teacher or if you don't have any experience as a non-teacher. So anything where you've spoken to people, anything where you've helped people to do something, help people to choose the right bike to buy if you work in a bike shop, helped people find a book to read that they might enjoy, something like that. Any sort of skills that you might have. Okay. All right. Think of any skills that you might have with computers. I'm just giving you some ideas. You might not include all of these, but just some ideas to highlight any skills you have. Obviously, if you're going to be teaching online, any sort of skills that you've got there, you might sort of try and add into 3 or 4 sentences. Also, think of any languages that you might have. Okay, so like an intermediate level Spanish speaker, something like this. Okay, any sort of languages, skills you have, get them in there. Then you might have a section. So after you've sort of done that, you might quickly highlight any related qualifications. So a graduate in something like that, I don't know, a master's level in something like this, any sort of related qualifications. Now, you might think they don't relate to English as a foreign language teaching, but really any qualifications you have at degree level or higher really are related to getting a TEFL job. So that's just something to think about. Okay. Then, of course, you might put into the little profile, the 3 or 4 sentences, your TEFL qualification. Then if you're a non-native speaker, make sure, again, you've highlighted any other English qualifications you have, or even any other language qualifications. So if you've got an A level in French, something like that, throw that in there in the profile. Now, you might not include all of these. I'm just giving you some ideas for a little bit of a profile, 3 or 4 sentences that you might have, a short 3 or 4 line paragraph. Okay, you might not include all of these, but these are the kind of things that you might have. Okay, I should be able to see from the profile a summary of you. All right. Now, let's then look at the first section about qualifications. Okay, start with your TEFL certificate. Really important that you have a TEFL certificate that we can see, that a recruiter can see that you have a TEFL certificate. So state the company that you got that TEFL certificate from. And if you can, if you've got space, a little bit of accreditation about that company. Why is that important? Because as a recruiter, I want to know the person that you have qualified with. The company, sorry, that you have qualified with. I want to know that it's a reputable company. So think about putting the accreditation. Think about putting the date you qualified. Put the modules that you covered. So did you do a young learner module, something like this? How many course hours was it? 120 hours, for example. Was there a practical component, okay, to this? Put all this in the TEFL certificate. So you might then have a section on qualifications about your TEFL certificate. Then, if you've got a degree, write some information about your degree. Now, I've put if relevant because some people we know don't have degrees. So always put your degree down if you have a degree. But if you don't have a degree, that's okay. You know, don't list no degree, anything like that. Okay, just you would skip this section. And of course, within your degree, put The degree section, put the date you received it, you graduated, or the dates you studied, your final grade, maybe any relevant modules that you can pick out that might be applicable to teaching, that kind of thing. If you don't have a degree, you might then want to go into a bit more information about the school qualifications that you have. Okay, so you might want to sort of say things about like the A levels that you have, or whatever your country's high school leaving qualifications are. In the UK, we choose our subjects. So, for example, I have an A level in computing, in English, and in history. You know, very relevant in terms of teaching online. So I would put that down. I would highlight the kind of things that I did on that. Gave some presentations, all this kind of thing, maybe grades, dates as well, all that kind of thing. All right. If here again, if you're a non-native speaker, you might have put a little bit in the profile about any English qualifications you have, but here I would put definitely about the qualifications you have in English, the qualifications you have passed in English. So you passed an IELTS certificate in 2019 and you got IELTS 8.5, you got a bit for reading, you got a bit for writing, whatever it might be, get that in there in your qualifications. Show that you are a good English speaker. Remember, a lot of native speakers wouldn't get IELTS 9. So if you've got a high level IELTS certificate, good to get it in there. Okay. Then you might move on to the work experience section, okay, after your qualifications. State all of the jobs that you've had, starting at the most recent one, and account for missing periods. So if you have a little break where you went traveling, I think list the countries that you've been to. Why? Because if you're going to go teach abroad, it's important to see that you can adapt to living in another country. If you're going to teach online to other countries, it's good to see that you are open culturally to seeing other countries, that kind of thing. State all the jobs, okay? Don't think that you have no experience. Now, you might have come straight out of school at 18 and you might only have a job that you did on a Saturday, something like that. Really, really think about every task you did. Can you get that into your work experience? Okay. Think about any customer interactions you had in your job. On the phone is important for online. Being able to speak on the phone is as important as being able to speak on Zoom. Replying to emails. So that's kind of thing. You know about like how to communicate with students, this kind of thing. Did you man the Facebook chat? Perfect. Important thing to do when you're talking to the students on and a writing, that kind of thing. You're making sure that your communication skills are important. Think about any customer interactions and put that in the sort of tasks that you did in work experience. Okay. Think about any training courses you have attended, or even better than that, any training you have given during that work. So you attended this training course because you sort of were, and then if you put, I did a training course where I learned how to sell things better, that kind of thing. You put yourself in the role of a student, important. You gave a training course on how to, how to talk to suppliers, something like that. You gave a training course on how to improve your communication with clients, that kind of thing. Anything like that you've given shows that you have a teacher's way, that you are able to communicate. Think about anything you've done like that, put that in the work experience, okay? Presentations you gave as well are also important. If you've given a presentation about anything, and if you haven't given any in your work, then maybe think about any that you've given in your qualifications and put that in the qualification section. Any business skills you have look good to employers. We like to see business skills because it shows that you are professional, that you can be professional. It also might help because a lot of classes are business English classes. So that's something that's important, okay? Good. I'm going to get to those questions soon, I promise you. Thank you for them all coming in, okay? I'm definitely going to get to them soon. Right, if you've got no work experience at all, if you've not got any work experience, okay, then obviously the section on qualifications might need expanding, okay? So think about again, like I said, presentations you gave. Think about any projects that you have worked on where you've worked as a team. All this kind of thing is part of being communicating. Put that into the qualification sections. Make sure you highlight any computer skills you have, because as a teacher, computer skills are important. You're creating worksheets, you're replying to emails, you're maybe looking at a virtual learning environment after you've taught in the classroom. If you're teaching online, Zoom, shared documents, shared folders, all that kind of thing you might be using, you might be having to explain to students how to use. Computer skills are important. Highlight your good grades. Make sure that you show that you have good grades in your qualifications. Okay. Then if you don't now, hobbies. I personally, as a recruiter, didn't really care about people's hobbies too much. But if you don't have any work experience, then it might become a bit more relevant. Okay. So, you know, think of any hobbies that you have where you have to communicate. Play online games. You need to be able to communicate effectively. Okay. You know, do you read lots of books? Important. That means that you show that you might be able, you have a keen interest in languages, and you might be able to use that experience within the classroom. Okay. So think of any hobbies that might be relevant. Don't think of, you know, hobbies that, like, going to the gym. While it is a nice hobby, how is that really that relevant to teaching English as a foreign language? Okay, so try and think of any hobbies that you have that are relevant, and, you know, I can think, okay, do you know what, that kind of helps. It's shown that they can do this, they can do that. Okay. Right, working fully online. So if you're going to be applying for a job where you're fully online, you're not working face-to-face in a school, technical skills are important. Okay, so very important that, you know, when I'm recruiting for someone to teach online, I want to see that you can have good technical skills. So you might have a skills section for online computer skills if you're going to be going for an online job, where you sort of list the programs that you are technically good at. So, you know, if you're great at PowerPoint, you know, list that kind of thing. So I produce PowerPoints for my company, something like that. I produce PowerPoints for presentations, that kind of thing. I have a good level of knowledge about Microsoft Office. I can work well with calendars, that kind of thing. I've used Zoom a lot in my job, all this kind of thing. Explain any experiences you have of remote working or even remote communication. So I don't know, did you host a pub quiz for your friends online? Something like that. Put that in there. Have you worked online using Google Classroom for something, some sort of course that you've done? Put that in there. Show that you know how to use a computer and work online, okay? And show also in the skills that you work from a dedicated space. You know, make sure that you sort of highlight in there that skills you have used all these from your office in your house, whatever it might be. Show that you are sort of, you've got a space to work, because that is important for people that are going fully online. You don't want to really see somebody going fully online in their kitchen, for example. Okay, just doesn't look professional. Okay, so you could have something like created a workspace in your skills or developed a studio, something like that. Now, just getting to the end of it, let's talk about the pitfalls, some of the things that I personally have hated as a TEFL recruiter. Please avoid I've said it at the start, but please avoid it being too long. 4, 5, 6 pages. Oh, I'm going to stop. I'm going to give up. Okay. All I'm really going to look at is the most recent ones, really. Okay. Avoid it being too long. Avoid too many empty statements in a TEFL CV. I see so many things like, I am a strong communicator, full stop. Oh, are you? Good. That's great. I'm glad you're a strong communicator, because I was really worried that people were going to be weak communicators, you know, or like, you shouldn't really need to say that you're a strong communicator if you're going to be a TEFL teacher. Strong interpersonal skills. Again, thank you for letting me know this. Oh, that's good. I trust that you definitely have strong interpersonal skills. A good TEFL recruiter will look at the details within the experience, will look at the details within the certificates, okay? Make sure that you don't have all of these sort of empty phrases. You shouldn't need to tell people that you're an efficient and reliable worker. Don't put that in your profile. You know, put something to deal with TEFL, like you want to help students. Put something in your profile that you want to learn about cultures, or you want to show British culture, American culture, Australian culture, Indian culture, whatever it might be. You know, things like this doesn't really add anything at all to your certificate. You're an extremely organized individual. Again, no need to tell me this. You know, don't use things like this. Oh, well done. You're positive. Great. I looked back at some of these CVs before I did these videos, and these were some of the ones that I saw come up and up again. So you just don't really need to put them in, okay? The last thing that drives me mad is a terrible looking document. Don't have ones, you know, why is it important? I'll tell you why it's important. Because as a teacher, you need to be able to make nice handouts for your students. It's an important skill to make a handout. And to have one looking nice is good. To have one looking terrible does not help your teaching. You might have to explain it all a bit more. You might need to show all that kind of thing. It might take you too long. And if you're going to teach online and you can't create a nice looking Word or PDF document, why should I take you on? How do I know you're going to be able to teach a good... I've got great technical skills, but look at my terrible looking CV. Yeah, I'm not going to trust you. Okay. Final thoughts. LinkedIn can add weight. I will look, if I'm recruiting for you, I will try and find you on LinkedIn. You might have a simple CV. If you've got loads and loads of working experience, you might be able to go into more details in LinkedIn. I do believe LinkedIn can help. So either have a good LinkedIn or have no LinkedIn. Okay. I will Google you. The recruiter will Google you. So make sure that's important. Make sure that you have good information on your social media, that kind of thing. Make sure that because you know, if you're really, really professional, are you going to have big pictures of you, I don't know, drunk at a concert or something like that on your Facebook page, on your Twitter or whatever it might be? You know, they're going to look for, like, if you've got strong opinions and they see them on Twitter, it's going to go against you. So check, as you're applying for jobs, do check your social media settings, okay? Use the TEFL Org help. So if you are one of our graduates, we offer a service where you can send in your CV and we will check it for you before you send it to companies. That's for graduates from our course. So make sure that you have used the help that we have. We can check your CV before you send it. Okay. That's it for me. Okay. So I'm really sorry that I took so long there talking, but I just had so much to say. Let me get through to the questions. So thank you everybody for sticking with me. All the hellos at the start. Good. Hello everyone. Hello. I'm not going to go through all the hellos. There were so many. Ali, 4 minutes past 4. So that was a long time ago. I hope you're still with us, Ali. Any advice on how to find online work would be great. Yep. So what I would recommend you do is go to our website, TEFL.org. Definitely would recommend that you go to our website, TEFL.org, and you can look there. There's a blog section. You click on that blog section. There's lots and lots of pages within the blog section that we have. Sorry, I didn't click on it right. There we go. The blog section. And there's lots of information about like where you can find work. There's lots of information. There you go, how to teach online without experience. There's advice on people that have taught online, giving you some help, that kind of thing. There's also, we have at the top here in the TEFL jobs section, we have a job center. Lots and lots of jobs here. Online ESL teachers. There you go. There's there's lots of jobs there. Kindergarten teachers, teach English online to Latino adults. Click on that. Lots of information, that kind of thing. So use our website. Our website has so much information about it for that kind of thing, Ali. Okay. I have also done webinars in the past where I've talked about how to find online work. So go back and look on our Facebook page, our our YouTube page. Look for the videos where I've talked a lot about online work. Okay. Katja, you did have a question in the Facebook feed. That is true. Let me find that question. I remember the question that you had, Katja. Do you really need to put marital status on the... do you really need to put marital status? I think, Katja, was your question. Yes, you do need to put marital status on your CV. That is important. Now, your other question was about health. I talked about marital status in the presentation. Health is an interesting one. I've never seen that. They're probably there thinking more about your age. So that, you know, if you put your age, that's fine. However, if they're very clearly asking for your health, you need to put your health down, I think. You know, is it right? It's probably illegal to do that in the UK or wherever country you're from, Katya, but maybe it's not illegal to do that in China or something. I don't know how it works. So if they're asking for your health, go for it. Yeah, you know. The bag 2787. Hello. You're in Mayo, just down the road from me. Would making a short 2-minute video or so be good to include with your CV? If you're working online, then they're probably going to ask you to do that anyway, Mr. Bag. However, I don't think it's needed unless they're asking for it, to be honest. Yeah, but if you're working online, very often they want to see that anyway. That's part of the recruitment things. Okay. All right. Good luck with that, the bag. Sue, hello. You're shouting at me, Sue, in capital letters. There's no need to do that, is it? You recently re-qualified as a TEFL teacher. Okay. But did a lot. So people that, I don't know what your re-qualification means here, Sue, but people that do a career change, that kind of thing, definitely your experience is valid, I'm sure. You did a lot of TEFL teaching in France over 10 years ago with over 8 years experience. Yes, definitely include that for sure. 10 years ago is not that. I include my teaching experience from 10 years ago. Yeah. Have you forgotten it, Sue? Probably not. Go for it. Put that in your qualification. Put that in your CV for sure. Definitely put it in there. Alan, no, we can't email the slides, but you can watch the video again over and over again. It'll be on the Facebook page or the YouTube page. Okay. Gillian, hello. You have a professional diploma, technology related, but not a degree. Will this harm my chances of successfully getting a job abroad? Well, it won't harm because the qualifications aren't... all qualifications mean something, yeah? It's definitely not going to harm. The problem you might have there, Gillian, is whether they class that as a degree. If they don't class that as a degree, then you might not be able to get the visa. So what you would need to do is check with the people who are recruiting you for whatever country you go to and make sure that they know that this is of a degree level. And you might need to show some documentation to show that it's of a degree level in the country that you're working in. Okay, the country that you got it from. So just, you know, that's the kind of, or you might need to find out from them, will they accept this as a degree? So difficult one, that, Gillian, but it really does depend on the country you're going to go work for. Okay, or country you're going to go work in. Okay. Baby T, hello. You're interested in doing TEFL. You have an associate degree in linguistics. Well done. But you have no teaching experience. Would I get a remote job to TEFL? So you need to get a TEFL qualification, Baby T. So for example, I have a degree in linguistics, but I still needed to go on and do the TEFL teaching qualification. So go on our website, TEFL.org, look at the courses that we offer and put them, and you need to do one of those, okay? Because companies do want a TEFL certification, a teaching qualification, as well as a degree. Well, they don't all want a degree, but many countries do want a degree, if that makes sense. You would need to get the TEFL qualification, Baby T. That's what I do, okay? Ellen, spelling differs in the UK versus the US. Yeah, don't get me started on this, Ellen. Which one's correct and which one's incorrect? Any discrimination? How we spell words? No. Practice versus practice? No. Put them in. If you're in, it doesn't matter. As long as the spelling works, it's fine. No problem at all. One thing to tell students is that most good qualifications, such as IELTS Trinity, for example, they allow both the UK and the US spelling as being correct. You don't need to get one or the other. Both, either would be fine. Okay. Abigail's, hello, Abigail 7. There were 6 more Abigails. You're the 7th. I'm sure you're the best, Abigail. You saw a TEFL article about CVs and included high school accomplishment activities. Yep. Is this a good idea? Yep, for sure. If you don't have a degree, or if you're a bit lacking in work experience that could be relevant to teaching English as a foreign language, put that in there. get that in there. I would like to see that. I think that would definitely be good. And try and tailor it a bit to sort of show how it could work in the classroom. Foreign language, cool. You were a student for a bit, so you know what's a good teacher. You learned good teaching techniques through being a student of Spanish for 5 years, whatever it might be. Extracurricular activities, worked as a volunteer to do this, communicated by doing this, Okay. Yeah, definitely whack it in there. Christina, hello. What if we don't have a letter of recommendation when asked? That is an important thing. Some countries, I think especially, might be wrong, but culturally, I seem to think Central American companies expect you to have a letter of recommendation. I find that most employee and past employers are quite happy to give me a letter of recommendation. So why not contact your past employers and see if they'll give you one? Yeah, I think you should have. If you don't have any sort of reference, I really don't know anybody that doesn't have any sort of referee or someone that can give them. So it could be someone who taught you at high school, could be a lecturer on your degree, whatever it might be. There's definitely little bits of, there's definitely little recommendations that are out there. You'll be able to find one, okay? And you'll be surprised how happy people are to do that, okay? Ezekiel, I did get angry, did I? Sorry about that. It's Friday though. I'm about to have some fun this weekend. Sarah, hello. You taught preschool children in the nursery as a nursery assistant, but your latest career, the past 4 years, was in event management. It's interesting. Assume it's better to. So yes, I mean, yeah, definitely. If you're going to be teaching, you're probably going to be teaching kids at some point. So being able to show that you have taught a bit in a nursery, fantastic, amazing. However, event management, I'm not an event manager, but I'm sure you've had to show people how to do something. I'm sure that you've had to deal with some sort of business requests and business English. You might be able to teach business English, marketing, that kind of thing. I don't really know what an event manager does, Sarah, but I'm sure just off the top of my head, I reckon there's a couple of things that you could pull out and put in your CV. Okay. Alan, we don't have any country templates available that I know of. I'm sure Alan will put in the chat whether that is, but there's loads of stuff on Google to help you with that. Okay. Dare, I'm Mr. Amu. I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name. I'm glad you're delighted to be in this training. That's great. Alan, in the USA, a CV or resume. There you go, definitely. In the USA, a CV resume. Alan, have you got a big sword there? You're looking a bit scary. It's not a legal document. The application is. Interesting. Okay. But I'm guessing when you then apply somewhere, the rules might change. I don't know. Abigail, again, you recently worked as a nanny and you include that on your CV. Is there a better way to word this job? Could you say preschool teacher? Au pair? Maybe? Private tutor? Something like that? Might be. But I think you'd want to definitely get the age range in there. Okay, that you do that one. Okay. Katja, for English proficiency, is an EF certificate C2? C2 is a good level. Sufficient. That sounds pretty good. I would be quite happy with someone putting that as their thing. However, look, whether it comes to native speaker level does sort of depend on the recruiter that you're doing. And that company might have a Word document that all the recruiters show. So, for example, it might show IELTS 8 they take as native speaker. I don't know, Katja. So I don't want to say, yes, that will get you any job that you go for, because I don't really know much about it. And also, every company might be different. Okay. To Boca, yes, hiring someone based on nationality is a bit biased. Yeah, I don't make the rules, I'm afraid. Sarah, can I recommend any book material with some ideas for a PPP lesson plan, please? Now, if you're doing one of our courses, Sarah, from the TEFL Org, all the information will be there. You don't need to worry too much about that PPP, because we'll help you with that. So a book, I mean, most books are generally PPP, especially sort of ones that were written sort of 10 years ago. 15 years ago. So I think sort of English file, headway, but don't go out and rush. I wouldn't buy one, Sarah. You might go to your local library and look at one. But if you're doing one of our courses at tefl.org, the information is in there. I don't think you need to do that. Ezekiel, we are going to we've got some information on our website about CVs. So if you go to the blog section and type in CV, you'll be able to find some things. I'm sure Alan will also put a link in there. Okay. But we're going to definitely update that soon. So keep an eye on our website and there'll be some stuff on there. Okay. We're updating the CV section of our website soon. This is one of the things that we're doing with this video for. Okay. Alan, is non-degree level a big issue? You're certified by SAP, for example, but did not attend university. Right, so Alan, it does sort of depend where... Right, it depends on a few things. Are you going to teach online? Are you going to go abroad? If you're going to go teach abroad, there are countries where you've got to have a degree. You've got to have those letters after your name. You've got to be able to show a degree certificate in order to get the visa. It's not the companies that do this. It's generally the governments that have decided this. However, there are countries abroad where you don't need a degree. For example, Cambodia is one of them in Asia. So, you know, it does depend where you want to go. If you want to go to Japan, you can go on a working holiday visa without a degree. So you don't need a degree to teach abroad. However, having that degree does help. Okay. A few weeks ago, probably a couple of months ago now, I did a video on teaching abroad without a degree. Might be worth trying to find that, Alan. Again, look on our website. Okay. Ali, if you have a degree, do you leave out school qualifications? Yeah, I do myself on my CV. But, you know, if you could fit it into 2 lines, something like have 4 A-levels, got in 1997 or whatever it might be, however old you are, and you can fit that in 2 lines, and you might want to just whack that on there if you've got space for it. Okay. Camilla, hello. If you have a bachelor's degree done in the UK, would I still need an English qualification on my CV? As have you done my IELTS 2 years prior to my university? My score is fairly... 7.5 is not fairly low, Camilla. No, if you have received a degree, that's something I should have said, actually, Camilla. It's a great point you're making here. If you have completed your degree, if you're a non-native speaker, but you completed your degree in an English-speaking country, companies might take that as being as a native level speaker. Okay, so you don't need to do that. However, Camilla, what I might suggest to you there is see if you can do a qualification now if you think your English has gone up. Wouldn't hurt. I know it's an expense. These qualifications can be a little bit expensive, but it might be something you want to think about doing, okay? But definitely put the name of the university. So if it's a London university, put the London university. Make it very, very clear that you did that degree in English. That will definitely help you to look more like a native speaker. Okay. Okay, thank you. My things just jumped. Where's the questions? Ali, hello. If you are a more mature candidate, how far do you go back with jobs? Yeah, I would include that in there for sure. Yeah, because did you teach the kids anything? Did you play with the kids? Did you play games with the kids? I would definitely put that in there. You know, if you taught your kids something, you could teach other kids something for sure. Definitely you put that in there. Ellen, hello. Did Microsoft training for ATT? Congratulations. But the problem is in the 1990s. Yeah, I wouldn't bother with putting a computer qualification from the 1990s maybe on it, Ellen. Yeah, I'm not sure how relevant that is. I would sort of just show in your most recent jobs that you've done that one, okay? What you might find is as you go further back, Ellen, you write less and less about the jobs and the skills you did. So, you know, the more recent ones are more important, or the ones that are very relevant to teaching. Okay. Glad you're all enjoying the presentation. Sarah, can you check the CV after the course has expired on TEFL? Or send us a message. I can't see that being a problem, Alan, but maybe I'm being too nice there. I'm pretty sure if you send in your CV after your course has expired on and if you are a TEFL.org graduate, we'll help you out there. Definitely, Sarah. Okay. I got a lovely email this week from a guy who has just moved to Spain. this week to start teaching, who I taught, who I trained last month. You know, definitely there's people out there recruiting at the moment, and we love hearing those stories. Josh, hello. In regards to TEFL in South Korea, I did a video about South Korea teaching a couple of weeks ago. Look at that one, okay? That might answer your question. Is it still benefit? Yeah, I think it would still benefit. I definitely put basic Korean on there. Definitely, Josh. Yeah, I would help you. I'm sure, definitely. Ezekiel, good question coming up here. Would I recommend applying for Chinese companies with the recent scandal? So, if anyone doesn't know, the recent scandal is that the Chinese government, it seems to, and I'm putting this in my own words, be sort of clamping down on the range of online teaching companies. And I think one of those reasons is because there's a lot of online teaching companies trying to chase the money, and perhaps the government wants to make sure that the standards are good. If you have a good qualification from an accredited board, like the ones that we offer here at the TEFL.org, if you've got one of those, I think that you're not going to have any problem getting work. Is it worth applying? Of course it is. However, be aware that at the moment, companies are a little bit in China, a little bit not worried, but if they're not of a good quality, if they've not been checked a lot, you know, they're just sort of a bit wary at the moment. Definitely qualification. Definitely apply. Definitely apply, Ezekiel. Moona, is this course good for a 16-year-old, and can she get work after in the course? Right. That's an interesting one, Moona. Some companies won't take on people that are 18, so she's got to be a bit aware of that. However, there's nothing to say that she could do the course and then set herself up as an online teacher herself, you know, working independently herself. It's definitely a bit of work like that. 16 is difficult. I'm not going to say you're sort of guaranteed work after doing that. Yeah, but I you know, it can't hurt, sorry, for sure. Okay. David, do we need to put marital status on your resume? That seems rather personal. Yep, as the reasons why I said, they want to make sure if you're married, they want to know that if you're going to come over with your wife and kids. If you're not going to come over with your wife and kids, are you going to want to be going back all the time to go see your wife and kids? Also, some countries, some companies don't quite like having people that are single. You know, look at the cultural sort of way that some countries are. They prefer to take married people. Okay. Jing Hang, hello. Could I still have a 2-page maximum if both Chinese and English versions are included? So you need to translate it? No, then do a 2-page Chinese one and then do a separate document for a 2-page English one. Does that answer your question, Jing Han? I think it does. Good. Thank you, Alan. Lovely for that thought. Thank you very much, Alan. I really enjoy your questions as well. So thank you very much for helping us out in the chat. Sunita, you're already pursuing your TEFL course. Okay, well, we can definitely help you with any qualifications you need, Sunita. Go on our website, TEFL.org. Do one of our qualifications. We will help you. Noisette, what kind of qualifications to go teach in South Korea? I did a video about South Korea a couple of weeks back. Watch it. But the thing you need is a TEFL.org qualification. However, for Korea, quite often you do need a degree as well. So make sure, you know, it's one of the more difficult places to go if you don't have a degree. Okay. Meg, you're 60 years old now. Last taught English 15 years ago. I'm going to be stopping in a couple of minutes. You've been a classroom assistant since then. You also taught English in a language school 15 years ago. Is that too far back? No, not at all. Put that on your CV. We will love that. Get involved. Definitely fine. Gianfilippo, thank you, Alan, for highlighting that one. You have a degree taken in Italy. Does that help? Yep. Does it have to be taken in an Anglophone country? Doesn't have to be, but some companies prefer it to show that you have a native-like ability. If you've got good English level as well, Gianfilippo, no problem at all. Good. There's a long question here from Alan. You're currently living in Germany, but hope to move to Ireland in 18 months. If working online is a change of location, like serious because you can't see so as long as you've got a good online internet connection, no problem, Alan. GameCube. If a job says it requires a right to work in that country, is it worth applying and then sorting a visa afterwards, or is it a prior requirement? Brexit has made things very... Brexit has been... Brexit is still not really clear about Europe, I don't think. Okay. No, it's usually a prior requirement to get the visa. Okay. Sharonti, if you're a private tutor, who would give you a letter of recommendation? Your students could give you a letter of recommendation. Thank you, everybody. I think that might be the end of the questions. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. I really hope you... I'm just sorry, I was just looking through those last questions. Thank you for all the lovely comments, for everybody saying that it was a good webinar. I'm glad it was informative and enlightening, to quote Ellen. Thank you very much, everybody. Listen, here at the TEFL Org, we love getting people to teach abroad. All of our tutors have taught abroad. All of our tutors know about teaching abroad. I myself have had a fantastic life teaching in many countries around the world, okay? So we love hearing about people teaching abroad. We love also helping people, you know, and if you do have other questions, please send them into our website. In the bottom right corner, we have a chat with us function. Go to tefl.org, bottom right corner, you will find a chat with us section. On Facebook, we have a messenger, which is manned, womaned by the amazing people that work for us. To check any questions you have, send in the questions, okay? There are loads of these webinars that I've done before over the last sort of year and a bit, so go back through. I think there must be at least 50 on there now, Alan. I have no idea how many videos we've done. But definitely have a look at them. You will be able to find something that we have done before that will answer your question, okay? Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Have a good weekend. And if you're still with me after an hour and a bit, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed talking to you today. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.